Last year, the drug industry spent more money buying access to your government than it ever has in history, $457.3 million on federal lobbying in 1 year. The same companies you cannot afford your insulin from, the same ones whose prices made you ration a pill, spent nearly $500 million whispering to the people who write the rules. And then, when the government rolled out a program to lower drug prices, guess who got to help shape it? Behind closed doors. Read that twice. The fox did not just guard the henhouse. The fox designed it. Let me put that record number in your hand so it stops being abstract. $457.3 million. That is not the value of the drugs. That is just the cost of the conversation. That is what it costs to make sure that when a senator picks up the phone, it is a pharma lobbyist on the line and not you. You do not have $457 million. You have a copay you are scared of. They have a department whose entire job is making sure the law never quite reaches them. Now here is the part that should make you genuinely angry. There is a White House drug pricing program called TrumpRx. 17 drug companies anchor it. And while that plan was being shaped, those 17 companies poured more than $130 million into lobbying in 2025. That is a roughly 23% surge, outpacing the rest of the industry. So the program that is supposed to bring your prices down was being shaped at the exact moment the companies it covers spent record money on influence. That is not a coincidence. That is a strategy with a budget. And do not let the trade group hide in the background. PHRMA, the industry's lobbying arm, increased its own spending to $38.2 million, up about 20% year over year. That is one organization. Think about what that money does. It does not buy ads you see. It buys meetings you never hear about. It buys the wording of a sentence in a bill. It buys the difference between a loophole and a law. 20% more of that in a single year while you waited at the pharmacy counter doing math. Zoom out and it gets worse, because pharma is not even alone. Total lobbying in the country hit $1.4 billion in the first quarter of 2026 alone. That is the highest first quarter total since they started keeping records back in 2008. Lobbying firms took in a record $5 billion in 2025. The whole influence economy is having its best year ever. While your wages did not move, the market for buying laws set an all-time high. And here is where it lands on your body, not just your wallet. The whole healthcare sector spent a record $868 million on lobbying, while cuts to Medicaid moved through Congress. So as the program that keeps the poorest people alive was being trimmed, the industry around it spent record money making sure the trimming happened on their terms. That is the system working exactly as designed. The people who can afford to be in the room write the rules for the people who cannot. So what do you actually do with this, besides scream into the pharmacy line? You stop pretending the next election fixes a machine this well-funded. $500 million a year does not lose to a hashtag. The thing that actually scares concentrated money is distributed ownership. People holding a real stake in the systems they depend on, instead of begging the system to be kind. You will not outspend pharma. Nobody can. But 1 million people who own a piece of something do not have to. $457 million. The most the drug industry has ever spent buying your government. And the reward was a seat at the table when the price plan was written. They are not hiding it well, because they do not have to. They know the most you will do is be annoyed for an afternoon and then refill the prescription anyway. That bet is the whole business model. Wake up is the day the bet stops paying off. Make today inconvenient for them. If this hit a nerve, that is the point. I put the ownership stuff into practice with MXEL, where you earn a stake in what you build instead of renting your whole life from people who buy laws. This is the ownership stuff in practice, MXEL at mxl.com. Stay loud.